Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate. Welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. So today is a timeless message, but today is actually the day after the 2024 eclipse in April, the total solar eclipse, and we survived. And despite many warnings and churnings and yearnings and burnings in the hearts of some, the solar eclipse was actually just fine, and nothing exploded in Switzerland that I'm aware of, and anywhere else. In a natural phenomenon that was sucking us into hell. We're creating our own hell on this planet. That's why I'm here. Is that I bounce around to watch a bunch of different videos or read articles, particularly related to religious conspiracy and end times, Revelation, etc., the Book of Enoch related things, not because I'm trying to be disparaging or to be, just a jerk. I like to be the sound reasoning in my own mind. And when I hear people really pushing fear or pushing an agenda that is quite divisive, it really gets my hackles up, and it causes me to, want to stand up and say 111 that please stop, because that is not the new age of Aquarius. We're still stuck in so many places with spiritual advisors, teachers, mentors, guides, pastors, ministers, all kinds of spiritual leaders, and even some political ones that have no idea and no investment in the religious part of it, let's be honest, or the spiritual at all. It's just part of their political agenda, and that's it. Then we have a lot of people that are pushing a lot of things related to fear and 144. And we can notice the significance of all of the arcane knowledge prior that we've uncovered. We can notice and see the trends and everything, and we can definitely see that there is a deconstruction. However, that prophecy that includes, the divisive end of it, that's the human aspect of it, because spirit is not divisive. There is nothing in unconditional love. We even say unconditional love, and however, the more pure statement to say is pure love. Unconditional love would mean that there is something other than that there could be some conditional love. There is none. Once you get up out of the polarity and the third density of Earth and into 5D and beyond, you move into a realm where pure love exists, and that's it. There is nothing else. And so that's why I push against these agendas, because they're suggesting that there's some way of getting into that consciousness by continuing the division of we're the people that are allowed to go and they are not. And that is simply not true. We look at it from a scientific aspect. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, and we are all energy. We are all energy, the same energy source. And how we're using that, it would be no different than if we were starting a fire or lighting a light bulb, or the different ways that we're firing a missile or firing a weapon. We're all using our energy in very different ways. However, it's the same energy force that we all have. And so there cannot be some place where we're going to exterminate some part of humanity and expect that to work in what is the reality and the hard science and the marrying thereof in our understanding of it. There is no way you're going to get that to work out and just say, well, the bad people are just going to have to go somewhere. Where are they going in the universe when we already know scientifically that energy is neither created nor destroyed? And we can get out into outer space pretty far with our, not just our assertions and our propositions, with our hard data and our research, that Earth-related rules, we understand how they go into space as far as they go. And granted, we don't know as much as we would really like to or need to fully embrace this whole entire story. However, to create new stories or to fill in all the 98% of the blanks that we have with a lot of things that are fear generated or divisive, or suggesting that there's a place where bodies that are no longer here, the rapture and all that, where do we think all of that energy goes? Even if the personalities leave with the bodies and the mouth stop talking and the fingers quit pointing, that energy source has to go somewhere. It has to return somewhere. It doesn't just stay in Earth, right? Our spirit, if we thought that our spirit stayed in the ground, then there would not be people who could experience poltergeist experiences in homes or have profound dreams where they know they were sitting with someone. So the spirit is ethereal. It moves around, that energy moves around. We simply do not have the technological ability right now to see everything as well as some of of the seers on the planet, some of the people who can see a little more cosmically with a little more X-Men capability. And unfortunately, those people are getting mixed up sometimes with their divination gifts and their clairvoyance and their channeling abilities. They're getting mixed up sometimes with the, not real practical or logical or rational or kind agendas, because they're getting stuck in an old story and an old paradigm. That's the old paradigm, to believe that part of the old paradigm is to believe that the new paradigm includes casting people into hell somewhere, that nobody has a hard past place on this. There is no address for heaven or hell. It's right here as far as I'm concerned, because everything we create is created from here in our minds of how we're experiencing out here. There's a lot of very, very tragic stuff that's happening on the planet right now. And 555, thank you. We'll take that chance of making change and make it really alive, right? There's a lot of people that are experiencing this planet in a very hard, harsh, and awful way. And there's a lot of people that are choosing not to. Now, that's not to say that the people who are in the midst of wars and trauma, drama, and all that other stuff, it's not to say that they're not experiencing that. It's just that those of us that are observing it and then saying, well, that's what they get, and they should just drop dead, or they're going into hell anyway, things like that perpetuate the old paradigm. And dressing the old paradigm up in new paradigm clothing, but saying the same old dialogue, that's just the same old control tactic in a newer way that just sounds fluffier and sounds better. It sounds like a political presidential candidate that likes to renew his story based on what he thinks people want to hear. And we want to hear what we want to hear sometimes. However, that doesn't make it correct. It doesn't make it right. And it takes away, in my mind, legitimacy of anything that I would say. If I predict things and I say, well, it's based on, this book, and it's based on this idea, and it's based on, this and the powers that be, the powers that were, the cabal, this stuff that we really don't have any hard evidence on that, and anywhere where it has been investigated very heavily, we don't have any substantial data on it. And to say that the majority of us need to jump in there to save our souls, and the way to save our souls is not to believe that one person has the answer that brings up fear in me, and if I don't listen to them and do what they tell me to do, then I'm going straight there with them, to hell, or to some place that, oh, and I'm going to be trapped forever. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only transform. And if we think we're transforming to some hell place, how do we think that that's going to be contained? That's like containing, gas in a balloon, trying to capture a breath of wind or a fart in a balloon. You can't. There's no way to do that. Energy works very much the same way that, you don't have a way to capture that unless you're doing the Hadron Collider and things like that, or you're working 808, thank you, at high levels of energy management. And even then, I myself, haven't found a way that I'm going to capture energy. I let it flow through me and redirect it and transform it. But I don't have any way to capture that and put it in a jar, even though we tell ourselves and other people tell us that that stuff is possible through black magic and weird, rituals and things like that. That's not true. That's not the hard science of it. That's not the data of it. That's not the logic of it, that we already know the ground rules of the natural world here on Earth. And the more that we marry that up with the universal laws, natural laws and universal laws, and understand how they're integrating and coming into alignment with one another, that the natural laws on the earth are continuing to change. However, not the law of gravity, not the law of water leveling, or the law of nuclear fusion, things that run that stuff. Those are pretty hard sciences that haven't changed, aren't changing, and won't change anytime soon, even if one day we will understand them in a better way and be able to walk through walls and bend spoons and things like that, like Neo, even though that may be where we're headed, and how those new energies and the higher being entities that are giving those technologies to us, it might be where we're headed. However, we can't handle the fact that we've been given power to do a lot of things, and yet we're out here still causing fear, causing panic, causing pandemonium, and getting people all riled up about a solar eclipse when, rapture was supposed to happen, or I don't know, the Hadron Collider was supposed to suck us into a black hole, hell, something, create an alternate universe, and all of these things, which if those things, if the people that called themselves seers, spiritual teachers, and all this other stuff, if those people were correctly diagnosing and treating the situation, if they were correctly predicting it and it came true, then I would say, well, I have something that I can believe about you. However, I can neither believe you nor your story 1010, and I want the source on that, friend, because you're sourcing something that it's not one universal textbook that you're referencing. And if I wanted to talk about nuclear fusion, all I have to do is grab a physics textbook. It could be any one of them that was a legit textbook. However, you don't see bastardizations of chemistry or biology or atomic mathematics or any of that stuff. You know, equations are equations are equations, and you don't see bastardizations of that. You see a lot of people theorizing things. However, the equations that they're using, if they can't prove it, then it's not proven. And so I go at it with my right brain and my left brain marrying up together and dancing real hard sometimes and sloppy trying to figure stuff out. However, the last thing that I need to do is be pushing out anything towards you or anyone else or accepting it from anybody that they have the one answer when they're referencing 1111 material that you don't have any way to really prove that, and nothing that you've said so far has come true. That sounds like a presidential candidate who swaps and wobbles and, you know, does all kinds of things just to make sure that it sounds like what you want to hear to support the story that you're willing to believe in. And I do believe that some of these people really, you know, they believe, unlike, you know, some of the presidential candidates in the U.S. One, that they do believe what they're saying. I believe that they do believe that. However, I do also believe that there's room for more. There's always room for expansion. There's always room for opening our mind and embracing the idea that that might not be the right answer. What would happen if that wasn't the right answer? And that's where I spend my time whenever I hear someone like that and they say, okay, Kate, you know, that's not what you believe, but what if this was true? And then I start asking those relevant questions of, well, how is it true? When has it been true? When has that been correct so far that we've seen that? And 1212, when I can't answer that question with anything except, well, I got to make up a story about, but they have all these symbols and they have all these things and they have, perhaps we need to stop reaching into the dark bag of our own mind or listening to the dark mind of someone else, you know. Maybe if we got out of our emo bags and got more in touch with why be suspicious right off the top that the symbols or the things that we see, the colors they're using or the shape of something, you know, all of these things which, you know, I'm not saying that they're not symbols and they're not useful. What I'm saying is why do we automatically want to assume that the majority of the planet that has done this is doing it for nefarious reasons, and that 99.9% of us just have been in the dark about it, and that one day the evil uprising is coming to get us and we need to bunker away real quick, you know. If we believe that they have that kind of power, then what? How are we going to survive that? I mean, you know, that doesn't make any sense. And so assuming the worst means that I can't get out of my own emo bag or out of my own dark conscience and my shadow side enough to look at the possibility that perhaps people, you know, are making righteous movements and we're just highly suspicious and paranoid about it because the age of Pisces has been really rough and sucked, because there were people oppressed, there's still people oppressed, and there's still people that want to continue that oppression, despite the fact that we're pulling out of that. You know, it's because we're pulling out of it that people are so angry and are really doubling down, and it fulfills the prophecies. In my mind, it does fulfill the prophecies that we're seeing these things happening. However, assuming that going retroactively and looking and saying, see, this is the darkness, this is where they're, you know, doing rituals involving red stuff, you know, this is where the unaliving of, you know, certain things are happening, and this is where this is happening, and that's going retroactively to fill in a story that fits one book that only lives at your house and the people that follow you, you know. However, about 3,000 different iterations of that same book exist elsewhere, and there's a lot of other books that have nothing to do with that one. And so how is it that we can really stand on any principle other than division doesn't work? Dividing ourselves out and saying, you know, that Gravity will only work for us. It'll only lift up or push us down, depending on how we do it. And it's true if we understand that it's not personal. If we know how to work with gravity and laws of aerodynamics and things, then we will be lifted up. We'll be using gravity in a very different way, and wind and things like that, rather than being splatted to the ground when we jump out of a building and think that we're the chosen ones, and because we've done everything right, we have to know how to work with gravity. If we're going to jump out of a building, sure, go right ahead. Just please know and understand and be aware of and respect the fact that gravity's impartial. It'll take you right to the ground, without looking at you and going, wow, that was really dumb. How you doing there, clown? It's not that. It's that, are you working well with that law? Are you understanding the power of gravity to take you to the ground right quick and splat? Or are you jumping out already fully understanding that? And when I hear people talking about that, there's some that's gonna, they'll jump out of the building and they'll be able to fly. Ain't been anybody so far yet that's done that unassisted. So that's where, my logical mind has to jump in and say, please stop telling people stories like this, because we don't have anybody that can do that. And until we do, that's willing to come out and talk about it, I haven't seen one yet. Until you see somebody that can do that, let's get on board with it. We're all the same. We all succumb to the same dark, inside of us, the same paranoia and the same, dark ages of the age of Pisces. We all succumb to that when we succumb to it. The journey is about no longer succumbing to it and getting out of it and realigning with newer energies and releasing the denser energies and all the division of it, because unity consciousness and the new age of Aquarius does not call for, the heaven state does not require or request of us that we shut someone out. I know, in biblical stories and in other stories around the world, there are people who won't make it. However, how do you have an unconditionally loving God? How do you have a pure love source that can shut anyone out for any reason? I thought Jesus said something about repent and all of that. And so, I don't, that's why I can't track with those stories, because they break apart with the logic of it, that I have to start asking myself to believe that there's somebody unworthy. And I've seen too many people make rapid shifts in their consciousness and in their ability to move through their dark stuff and their karma, to believe that people are just irretrievable, they're hopeless, they're soulless, they're just, reptiles, they're all kinds of stuff. And yes, of course, we have people that will have already made themselves irretrievable to have a body and sustain themselves here on this planet. So I don't need to do anything except acknowledge that, yes, people actively choose that, though. And part of the journey of being more awakened and out of our ego and our dark bag is we realize that, I don't have the right to tell anybody how they should suffer or how they should reach judgment or how they should anything, because how do I know what I was? If I'm subscribing to past lives and all these other things, and Mayat is going to be judging me, really, if I'm going to should somebody, shouldn't I be shoulding me about what I should be doing to make sure that my heart is clean? And is there anything about that measuring out thing that says it's okay for me to cast judgment? I thought there was a whole thing about that. I thought there was a book I read one time, or heard about a whole bunch about judgment, and it just wraps up too many things, and it asks me to step out of logic, to go into my emotion, that when that emotion is unhealed, or it's got, still some shadow ego work to do, it jumps into a whole lot of areas where we're willing to just turf out people to the dead zone and say, well, you deserve that, And in one video I was listening to, one lady, I listened to two different ones, part of them, that one day she was saying these people are awful, they should die, they need to just go to hell and, take themselves out, the whole thing. And then I listened to another one, I just jumped in, randomly started it, and she said, I can hear all this suffering, this weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth, and it is happening. And she said, and I'm not so cruel as to wish them that they didn't have to be suffering like that. I don't want to know or be a part of anyone's suffering. And yet, however many days prior, you are a part of their suffering. We are a part of other people's suffering. If we are wishing, and hoping and hopping up and down on the fact that they fell down, they jumped out of the building unawares and dumb, blind, ignorant, arrogant, whatever it was, giving everybody the finger while they went, and then we, jump on their dead body or their semi-dead body and jump up and down and go, see, I told you, you stupid idiot. And then, after we're done doing that, we pull away and go, oh, isn't that sad? I'm so sorry that they're feeling so bad. we were a part of that process of continuing the paradigm, is really what that is. It's not to say that we're shoving people out of buildings or that, we're doing that necessarily, unless we are. And it's not my business, because when those people crash, fall to the ground and, wish they hadn't done that and they feel like a clown, they don't need me to go stand over them and tell them they shouldn't have done it. Our soul is aware at some level, whether we're conscious of it or not, whether we're willing to admit it or not. That's that whole dark bag, emo bag, and dark work and shadow work that has to be done in the ego that doesn't want to let it go. However, it still would be my ego that would want to shut that person out and say, ooh, get past the whole ah ha ha ha, but get to the compassion part to say, wow, I'm sorry that that's how that went for you, and I hope it's better for you, and walk away, step away. 2020, if I don't have anything better to say, but to jump up and down on it or to scream at them when we know for a fact, I know for a fact when I see somebody jump out of a building that they thought they were going to fly and they're giving me the finger and they're, just, see, you idiot, you're just a jerk, you're a dumbass. I mean, all this stuff, I've heard it all, that, all right, I know what's going to happen when you fall. I don't need to do anything. And if I do, then I'm wrong. I'm joining you for some part of your ride, asking to drag you down faster. And the point is that I'm dropping with you. And I don't wish to lose my integrity or my respectability within my own self to wish any harm on anyone else or try to keep anybody else or else out. I want everybody to get there. They will eventually, because energy is neither created nor destroyed. So energy is going to get there. It will get there. It's just a matter that we're doing it with bodies, currently, and when we leave our bodies, we still will be evolving and moving on. It's just that when we're wearing our bodies and we're all in our avatar and in our emotions about it, it's really hard to watch people choose badly. And I don't want to jump on top of that and tell them that when they change their mind, if they're still in their body, please, what can I do to assist you, to help you? The first thing I can do is jump out of your energy telling you what you should have already done. Does anybody want to hear what they should have done already when they know, man, I muffed it? Nobody wants to hear the shoulda. We're going to get enough of that dialogue from right inside our own head, which makes us want to turn around and bite everybody in our vicinity. So it just keeps that stupid loop, stupid loop, stupid loop, stupid loop going some more. So anyway, I hope that's done something for you, made some sense to you, and I hope you enjoy your day, no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It is so, 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 so fine, and it is universally no conditions on it, pure loving energy. It's not unconditional, because that would imply what? That there's a condition. It is pure love source energy. Whatever you call that, please get to that, and it will help you to really be able to soften the blows of having been thrown out of buildings when you weren't expecting it, and being unable to fly, pushing other people out of buildings knowing they couldn't fly. It can help us soften all those rough edges inside of us where we've been both the aggressor and the aggressee, the giver and the taker of those things. We've played all the parts. It's just the degree to which we've played them, and when we're playing it better, we understand that, yeah, that's not even the game we're in anymore. We're in a whole new paradigm. The paradigm shift happened. Let's get into that and start solving the problem, which doesn't involve creating more problems with creating more guilt and shame and anger and, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, let's put them down. It's time to rest that thing. All right. So anyway, as I said, get within your skin and enjoy your day. And you're divine. Get inside, because you're divine. It is absolutely lovely, so balanced, so beautiful, and so loving, and so kind, and absolutely fine. Take care, and I'll see you again next time, my friends. Bye-bye.